live doing another episode of In the Room. It's been a couple of months, and that is because I have been in the throes of a large-scale rebrand. We didn't start out that way, but that's what we want to talk about today. So I wanted to just kind of get on and debrief what, how it came about, this rebrand, and what we did, and kind of, some of the lessons we learned along the way. And when I say we, I just mean, my small team and I, particularly Megan, who is here today. She's my assistant and, really kind of my right-hand woman in all of this. She was really, really, really critical to this process and really helped me with especially all the technical stuff, but she was a sounding board for a lot of things, and there were some other people along the way, but we'll get into it. So yeah, I just wanted to welcome anybody who is watching this now or later, and just, talk a little bit about, what a rebrand even is. We, and not that that's an everyday term for all of you, but when we do talk about rebrands, it can mean different things. Sometimes it just means, I just want to refresh the look of my logo and my website. And sometimes it means we're kind of changing everything, even, the service offers and the processes and who's on the team and all of that. So it can, it's kind of like a design project. We always find these parallels, right? It's kind of like, okay, we could do just kind of like a mini makeover situation, or we can gut the thing. And it just depends on your goals and what's going on in your business and what your clients ultimately need from you. So for me, I started Deb Mitchell Writing way back in, I want to say 2016. And I got, I had a few iterations of a website. So in terms of that aspect of my brand, that representation, yeah, I had the DIY, iterations a couple times over. And then I partnered for a couple of years with someone who was a brand and website designer. She did WordPress websites, and we said, okay, if we're going to do this and offer a joint service offering to interior designers, let's, I need a new website anyway, so let's have the first sort of, showpiece be my website. So we did my brand and my website together, and I did the copy and the messaging and everything, and she did my logo and the full brand suite with some hand-drawn patterns, all this kind of stuff, and this, beautiful website. And it was great. And that website had served me very, very well, even when she kind of folded her business and went to work for someone else for personal reasons, wanted to be home with her daughters more and present with her daughters more. She has young kids. Anyway, I kept the same site and just changed some of the copy to fit with my solo offers. That site was great, but it got hacked 3 or 4 times last year. And did it get hacked this year? At any rate, it got hacked several times, and it got hacked really badly for the last time. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I just kind of wanted to get rid of that site and the bad juju or whatever was going on that was, whether there was some kind of backdoor or holes that, was allowing the hackers to get in. I was like, I'm done with this site. I can't do this anymore. So that's what initially made us think, okay, let's get a new website. But underneath all of that, for several years, I had this kind of itch of I am more than a writer, but I'm positioned as just a writer with interior designers. And I describe it as like an identity crisis. And I think a lot of you can relate because, how you tend to feel like you get stuck where clients may want to limit you, and they hire the builder and the architect and whatever. And then they go, okay, now I'm going to go to the designer for the furnishings. And you're like, no, why didn't you come to me way back? Like I could have worked miracles and done so much for your home if you had hired me before you hired anybody else. That's how I've felt as a writer. Because actually, having been in the industry and because I worked in-house for an interior designer for several years before I went off on my own. So I really understand what it's like to be inside your business. And because marketing, I'm trying to think how to put this all in a nutshell. It's really complicated and not complicated, but it's complex and it's long-winded. But essentially marketing is one of those things that actually kind of touches on every aspect of your business. And you can't really just wall it off or glom it on. So, and your communications and all these things that I do and that are my specialization mean I have to know and understand everything else about your business, including your packaging and pricing and everything about your clients and everything about your business model and what makes you profitable and what makes you different and all these kinds of things. So that has put me in a position where I'm like, oh my gosh, I just have all this sort of, deep and wide knowledge of interior design firms that, yes, I'm using it to write messaging and copy, but also it informs ways that I can advise and do advise interior designers in their business and in crafting their offers and in how they can serve their clients in a way that really puts their value forward and helps build that trusting relationship between your clients and you that really just make them like, oh my gosh, whatever you say, I just trust you so much. So all that to say, to position myself online as like, I'm just a writer, it doesn't come close to saying all of that, right? So it's been this hard, like, okay, how do I convey all of that? And you can't even really just say that in the copy when you're still showing up in searches as a writer. So just know that. So hang that over here. Then we got our website hacked and I'm like, okay, I'm not doing a new website until I figure this identity crisis stuff out. I worked with Luann Nigera and she coached me some and we had, some breakthroughs. But didn't get fully there on exactly how I should do everything. And then I also worked with Shauna Lynn Simon. Look her up if you don't know her. She is an amazing coach. And she and I, took that and went a little bit further and had some other breakthroughs. And then that led to me having some huge breakthroughs and going, oh my gosh, it's marketing and visibility. I mean, it's kind of obvious now, but you're blinded to it when you're in the middle of this, like, what is it? What is my thing? What is the thing? And the reason, in working with Shauna Lynn, she had me do some market research and she had me go back and talk to some of my past clients. And there was, some commonality in this idea of like, well, my messaging is fabulous. I'm still, I am getting, more trusting clients, more qualified clients, still have this struggle of getting a steady flow of clients. Yeah, okay. That's to be expected when you're in business. We all have that kind of like getting a steady flow of clientele is a struggle, or of leads, prospects coming in. But I had a conversation with one client, and she really, I don't know, just the way the conversation went, she really put her finger on it. And it was like, I've never gotten a client or a good lead from my website. And something about that stuck with me, because that's never been my responsibility as a writer, to bring leads in and bring those qualified, homeowners or qualified design clients in. That's not the wheelhouse of a writer. But I thought, what if it was? What would I do? What would be the things that I would tell that client to do? And I really just sat with that for a couple of months and journaled on it and made documents and charts and, Googling and all the things. And the answers were that I knew the answers because I know digital marketing from my own business. And I understand local marketing from learning digital marketing. You kind of have to learn the difference. And you all, interior designers, have this unique combination of, you market yourselves digitally, you market yourselves online primarily, but you get local clients. And there's weird nuances to the ways that you have to market yourselves and some of the tactics that you need to use. And I was like, I know how to do this. I can see it. I can see it would be, first I do this, then I do this, then I do this, if I were going to help designers get found online. If that were in my wheelhouse and it was my responsibility to help bring, get them in front of their qualified prospects, I know what I would do. So I thought, okay, this is a thing. This is a thing. It does go beyond writing. And then I had this really, it was such a big part of my rebrand was rebranding. Rebranding for me was rebranding, because this rebrand was so much more than just like a new logo, a new website. It was stepping up into this next level self for me, this next level of my business, this next level of serving interior designers that I had never really stepped into or allowed myself to even consider that I could do. And that can scare the safety-seeking parts of our brains. And it did. So it took me some time to get my mindset right and to really go, you know what? Not only can I do this, but I should. Like, I need to. If I have these answers for the interior design industry and I can see how these pieces fit together, these pieces of marketing, how they fit together specifically for interior designers, if I can see that, I need to bring it to them. Full stop. So from there, it was like, okay, I guess we're doing this. So once I got there in my mindset and I realized this is it, this is the answer to the identity crisis, and this is what we're doing now, it unlocked the gates, and all of the content and just thoughts started flowing. Like, I would be, working out or taking a shower or cooking, and I would be like, I have this idea. This is the way to say this thing. This is how to help people understand this piece of it. And I'd be like, going to my phone and doing voice notes. And then, a blog post would come out of that, or an Instagram post would come out of that. Some of them you may have seen so far, but some of them you haven't. I have a whole, content banked for all of this, because it just really started to come out of me, like all the stories of or analogies of this thing over here that seems like, what is she talking about with digital marketing? It's like this thing that makes it make sense. And even some of the things that I had been doing in the past with my clients that lead into these new things, like, oh, because we do this with the messaging and the copy, that means we can pull from that and do this other thing that helps you with your visibility. It's all been like this straight path. I just haven't seen this part of it yet. But now I see it. So, from there, I started thinking about, really developing the offers and packaging the offers. I realized too that some of the things, not all of it, but some of the things that are in these new offers, what it is, the core is still around messaging, but there is also positioning and visibility. And with positioning and visibility, there have been things that I've been telling my clients for years, but they haven't been acting on those things because it's a bit of a heavy lift. It's a bit daunting. It's overwhelming. It's like, what? What do I even... And it's not fun. Like, let's face it, these things are not, the messaging piece of it is barely fun for y'all. I understand that. The fun parts for you of rebranding is like, yay, let's look at new logos and colors and get our awesome new photography of our new projects up on a new website. It's all the visual fun stuff. I get it. So if we're going even beyond the saying things a certain way and we're getting into how to get Google to find you, you're out. You're out. That is no fun. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. It's not pretty. But it has to happen, because if you don't do these things or have someone do these things, even your awesome photography can sit there online and never be seen by the people next door to you. Like, online, they could never find you just because of how the internet works. So I've been telling people designers pieces of this for years, and I realized, okay, it's not about teaching them. It's not about telling them how to do this. They need it done for them because it's not fun. So that realization led to, all right, if my team and I are doing this, that means I need to be prepared for the fact that it can't be just me. That's too much for just me. So as I grow, just like in your businesses, as this grows and as I grow these offers and get more interior designers, serving more interior designers with these offers, my team is going to grow too. So that's an interesting turn of events in my rebrand that I didn't really realize was going to happen. And I'm good with it. I really did have to, again, the rebranding, I had to go, okay, am I cool with that? Because if not, I shouldn't start down this path. And I am, it's not happening today that we're growing by leaps and bounds and I'm hiring, 20 people. It's not like that. It's one step at a time. And I keep telling myself that. It's one step at a time. It's as we need it. It's going to reveal itself. The right people are going to come my way. It's going to be fine. So I just keep saying that. It's fine. It's fine. The hiring piece is always, I think, well, maybe not always. Maybe it's not always scary for everyone, but from talking to so many and working with so many interior designers, it tends to be a scary thing. Yes, Megan says yes. It tends to be a scary thing for many reasons, right? It's vulnerable. You're bringing somebody into your business and, letting them do anything for your clients or touch any piece of your clients' projects is hard. But we have the processes built to where it doesn't matter who touches it, right? It's going through me. So, I think another thing to say about rebranding is, there's always this piece whenever I'm doing anything in my own business where, I empathize. It brings even greater empathy for me to my clients because you all are running your own businesses too, right? So I feel your pain. And particularly when we're talking about, writing the copy. And I always say that trying to do the messaging and the copy yourself is like being inside the jar and trying to read the label. And that's what this was like for me, right? Because I'm so close to it and I don't have a Deb to hire this out to. I did do it myself and I'm sure not perfect. And I'm sure I will be tweaking things in the copy and in the messaging. But, yeah, and it was painful. It was very painful. But it does bring another layer of empathy where oh man, I so feel how much my clients feel the need to grip onto control. And feel that need to be like, ooh, every word has to have my stamp of approval, because I felt that way in doing this. But every word is not going to make or break my business, just like every word is not going to make or break yours. And to have someone, oh my gosh, this time around, if I had had someone who could have written this for me, I think we would have done it in half the time. It took months longer than we expected it to because of this right here, because of me. Yeah, it took a long time to get the messaging and the copy done. And also to do the sort of ancillary pieces that need to happen, like blog posts and like a lead magnet. We did all new lead magnet and emails, nurture emails going out after the lead magnet download. The blog posts were just pouring out of me. And so that was a little less of a heavy lift, but to get them loaded onto the site and formatted and everything like that, which Megan did, which thank goodness, because once I wrote them, I didn't want to ever touch them again. Like, okay, get them out, get them gone. But it is just so hard. So I certainly understand this push and pull between wanting to control it and wanting somebody else to just do it for you. But I think that's also where, I fit neatly for my clients, because they do get it off their plates, but it's to someone who they can trust to be true to them. Another piece of it that I struggled with, maybe more than you all struggle with. Photography is never a part of my world, really, right? Photography of me is never a part of my world. So to have my headshots redone, and that was, in fact, that was the first thing we did. We did the photography before we got the website, or I think wrote a word. I think I did that before I wrote a word. And I'm glad I did it that way too. Because visually, I had a wonderful lady in Charlotte named Yvonne. It's Yvonne Photo Studios, I believe. Yvonne was amazing, and she found us an amazing location to shoot that was just perfect for, my clients and for the look that we needed to represent. To establish the visual was really helpful. And it's funny that I hadn't consciously thought about how much I use your visuals, how much I use the designer's visuals. Your, yes, headshots, but obviously also your interior photography. I really use those to come up with your brand voice and your brand vocabulary. I hadn't consciously realized how much that weighs in. I think it would be impossible for me. Well, I don't know. Would it be impossible? I hate to say that. I don't know. It would be very hard for me to write for a designer if I was blinded to their photography and I couldn't see any of their work. Your work, even when it's not your ideal, like, oh, this is my dream project and I'm really showing the fullness of what I can do, your work will show your fingerprints somewhere and somehow. And then once I talk to you and I know how close to your ideal project and aesthetic that work is or isn't, or how far it is, once I know that, then I know, okay, these images are speaking this designer's soul, or not so much, but there's a note of it in there. So I'll know from talking to you. And oh my gosh, I use the visuals so much to just set the stage for all of the writing, it was an interesting realization to realize that, because I needed it for myself. I mean, having the images that Yvonne took, I obviously don't have interior photography because I'm not a designer, but having her images that set this tone, I kind of took a different stance when I was writing the copy. And there was kind of this tone that was up-leveled and a little bit more sophisticated, I think, and a little bit more grown up than the last iteration of my website that I had written. So that was just an interesting thing to have happen, and I think kind of cool. We did use, the site we did is Squarespace, and we used a template, but we changed the template we used. Doesn't look anything like what our site looks like. It's just that it's overall, the layout overall and the font options is kind of what, weigh in terms of the template. And there's still some kinks on the website that we need to fix, and we're aware. So if you're looking and you're like, why does that look weird right here? It's because we're still working out some of the kinks, especially on mobile. That's a whole other animal. When you're having a website done, that, getting it right on mobile is a whole other thing. But with creating the site itself, that we did it right, and where our kind of like, or my knowledge of how these things go really benefited us is that we didn't jump to the site first. So it's kind of like you when you're designing a home, right? Do you, do you pick the paint color first? Typically not. You typically go, that would be a mistake, because you need to, have everything else sort of chosen, and then you pick the paint color to go with everything else. It's kind of like that with the website, believe it or not, a website template or a website design. You kind of have to, we had to have everything else figured out. We had to kind of know what kinds of pages do I need, which meant what kind of offers. We needed to know, was I going to need some kind of Shopify capability, which it turns out I do, because we realized we want to offer some resources, add to cart kind of things, like some paid resources that are in progress. So when you go on the site now, you'll see, a coming soon on this resources page. But those are in development, because I also want to be able to serve. I had this big realization in my rebranding of like, how do I serve designers at all levels without making my life crazy, right? My real expertise is in serving one-to-one designers that are a little more seasoned and who have already served, their ideal clients, and they know what they want. So what about, brand new baby designers? Does that mean I don't help them? Historically, that has meant that I don't help them. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be able to help them. So we have a couple of offers that include them. One is there's going to be a group program. We are offering a wait list for that now. And that will be coming TBD. We don't know the start date yet, because all of this is, still a little bit in development of me going, okay, let's see, are people going to sign up? We have several people on the wait list already, but we want to make sure that it's viable. And the other thing that we have for, newer and baby designers, are going to be some of those resources. So before they're ready to work with me one-on-one, it's something that they can kind of grab onto at some lower price points and some free to, lay some groundwork in their businesses and get ready to be able to work with me on their brand messaging and their positioning and their visibility, at some point. So knowing what we needed in the website with those kinds of functionalities was imperative before we chose anything. And I think, it's kind of one thing. Take this with a grain of salt. And if you're a website designer, forgive me, because you may not like me saying this. It's kind of one thing when you're working with a website designer and you could add a page to your scope, they don't like it. Just like you don't really like people adding, rooms to the scope or whatever. You don't want the scope creep. They're going to have to pay you. You may need to do it later because your calendar is full with other projects coming up. It's the same thing with a website designer. So if you, say all of a sudden in the middle of your rebrand and you've hired a website designer, oh, I decided we want an e-commerce page. That's a whole other project for them. So they may have to schedule you like down the line for that for a whole second phase of the project. So just know that. But because we were doing this ourselves in-house, we wanted to make those decisions before we bought a template. I'm trying to think of the pages. Is there anything else? Oh, an events page. We wanted to make sure we had a place to put things like in the room and upcoming and past. Can we, if we get this template, can we put the replays on here and that kind of thing? So, Megan and I really teamed up to get the website done. Actually done, where she's putting my copy on the site and I'm, maybe saying, hey, what about, can we make this a headline kind of thing? And she's moving things around and she's making it work right. And then I'm going in and messing it up. There was a little bit of that, I gotta admit. It took longer. Like I said, it took longer than we expected, but and took a lot of time and energy to do. But I think it also showed me that more than just a visual refresh, this is such a necessary step in our businesses to do every so often. And I almost don't want to put a timeline on it because it's different for everyone. My website was 2020, maybe 2019, 2020, something like that. My website that I had done previously that we have just replaced. So that was 5 years. So I think no longer than 5 years. And I know from talking to my clients, to my designer clients, you typically don't like to go longer than 5 years because you start looking at it, feeling like it looks out of date and you want to refresh from a visual point of view. But what I want to say to you is that you need to approach a rebrand from this point of view that it's not only possible, it's likely that your messaging, your copy, even maybe your offers, your positioning, could be dated. It's not only possible, it's likely. Because that is what happens as your business grows. And I don't even just mean grows from a revenue, profit point of view, or from a, how many employees you have point of view. It can be from the point of view of you're evolving as a business owner. Your goals and dreams change. What you want out of your business changes. When I'm working with a client, that is one of the first things we want to establish is, what are your goals? What are you looking, to achieve now and in the future? Because how you build your business and how you brand your business and position yourself is going to either help you achieve those goals or prevent you from achieving those goals if it's not aligned, right? For me, again, I had to look at, do I want to make these offers bigger because of all the other ramifications? Because it means I'm going to have to hire more people. Because it means I'm leaving off certain designers. So then do I want to create another offer for them? It's this kind of cascade of decisions. Again, much like designing a home, right? The parallels never end. So then when you're talking about the things that I've added to the offers, the visibility, that's kind of just mechanics, a little bit of the mechanics behind getting you in front of your ideal clients. But some of that more initial stuff in a rebrand and the messaging and the copy and the positioning, that's decision time, baby. That's time to really consider what you want even your daily life to look like. I'm so glad I did it because it forced me to consciously think about these things. And it forced me to dig deep and figure out what I most want. And really what that is, I just really want to make a difference for interior designers. That's the long and the short of it. And maybe that sounds, I don't know, maybe that sounds cheesy or whatever, but I really mean it. I've been in this industry for a long time. I know a lot of interior designers and I adore them. And they're my friends, as well as my clients. And I want to make a difference for them. It's when they are frustrated because they are like, I'm under the radar of my ideal clients. I'm not getting found. I don't understand how that's happening. I want to be able to say, I got you. I have the answers. I know what to do. And now I can say that. So if nothing else, I'm putting it out there. I've created it. I believe in it. I know it in my heart and my soul that this is the right thing for interior designers. And I'm putting it out into the world and I'm showing up as like, hopefully a lighthouse to show the way for designers to get found. And it's what I've needed to do for a long time and have sort of resisted because it's hard to show up and stand up and say, I know a thing. Can I help you? So, yeah, it's a tedious process to rebrand, but when you go through it with, people who understand you and who aren't just like, just fill out your questionnaire and give me what you want me to do. Come on. That's not what you want. You want people who, like you, when you come into the beginning of, say, a new build, you're able to take that client by the hand and be like, okay, what are your goals? How do you want to live in this space? How do you want to feel in this space? What do you love? What do you not love? What should we change from what you have now? And really walking them through those foundational decisions to set them up for success in their project. That's what I do for my clients. So if you're, thinking, oh, I need a new website soon, and you even think for a moment that there is more than that it's more than just moving everything old off of your old website onto a new website, if you think there's even a chance that there's some rebranding, writing new copy, getting new messaging, doing something different so that you'll get on the radar, so that you'll get visible with your ideal clients, call us. That's absolutely what we are here for. And we love to be, my team and I love to be the people that are your partner and your cheerleaders and your guides, your expert guides through that process. And we can help you find the right service providers. And we can help you, in terms of the visual brand and the website kind of piece. We know some great people. We can help you find those people and get you started with that. And then us handling the copy, me handling the copy and messaging and your visibility stuff, your positioning and visibility stuff. So, yeah, it's a lot to bite off. And I know it's something that people don't look forward to really, but it's vital. It's Megan and I were talking about it earlier, and she said, it's something that it shows your clients that you're like on top of your game. You're on top of things. And I'm like, you know what? It really does. It really does show them when you're not only changing your visuals, but you're changing and evolving. You're evolving your message. You're refreshing, the copy and the content on your website and your blog posts, and your Instagram is, something's happening there that's different, and they notice it. It sends a message in and of itself that you are on top of things and you are moving in the world, and the grass isn't growing under your feet. So that's what's happening. I'm very excited to see what this rebrand will bring, not only for my business, but for interior designers. And I'll be in High Point next week. Crazy to think it's already next week. But yeah, I'll be there. So if you're there and you see me, grab me. I'd love to chat with you. I love seeing people at High Point. That's one of the big reasons. It's really the main reason I go. Of course I love seeing all the furniture, but I'm not a buyer. So I go to see the people. So if anybody who's on here today has any questions, you can go ahead and pop them in the chat or in the Q&A, talking about rebranding, messaging, website copy, anything. Oh, I did forget to mention, I don't think I mentioned that I changed my business name in the midst of my rebrand. Really kind of at the tail end, I changed it. We were going to stay Deb Mitchell Writing all along, and I finally just went, well, partly I'm in a business coaching group with other marketers, and they were like, you can't stay Deb Mitchell Writing, right? Because you're not just a writer. And I was like, oh gosh, I have to change that. Like, that felt like a big let go of the old, step up into the new. But yeah, now we're Deb Mitchell Co. And I love it because it allows for all of the marketing and visibility piece, that it kind of does solve the identity crisis thing for me of like, yeah, I'm a copywriter, but I'm a marketer. Like, I know my stuff when it comes to marketing. I really, really do. I've been in this for years. And to show that it's not just me. There is a growing team behind me that are serving my clients and involved in making all the things happen. I like to say that, particularly about websites and brand design, and that piece of the project. I don't love when somebody offers, oh yeah, I'll design your logo, I'll design your website and code it and do all the techie stuff, and I'll write your copy. Like, how could you possibly be really good at all of those very different skill sets? So that's kind of the same with the stuff that we're doing for designers now in our new offers. Yes, I'm great at the marketing and the strategy. I'm great at the writing and the messaging and the writing and connecting, forging connections between designers and ideal clients. But then there's tech stuff, the mechanics of the tech stuff that has to go on kind of under the hood on your website and in your social media, and in your blog and all this kind of stuff that I'm like, that I'm not an expert at that. I'm not a tech person. I'm fine. Like I can find my way around, but You're not paying me to find my way around. You're paying me to get it done right. So my people know tech better than I know tech, right? Megan knows tech better than I know tech. So she's getting in there, like she's the expert at that. And as we grow, we have other people that are experts in, pieces and parts. So that's how that goes. So that's the Deb Mitchell Co. of it all. So I hope if you haven't checked out my new website yet, I hope you do. Megan and I are still, like I said, still troubleshooting and getting some things resolved. So you're going to see a couple of glitchy things. We know, we're aware. I have 3 adult sons that are quick to tell me, hey mom, did you see that right there? They tell me the mistakes. They don't tell me what we did right, and they point out the mistakes. Thanks, son. Yeah, I know. So there's that. Any questions or any comments about rebranding or about our offers or anything about the interior design industry? Yeah, we're on it, Megan, right? We're trying to be. We're trying to be. I always get so out of breath and tired when it's just me, when I'm not interviewing somebody. I'm like, that's a lot of talking. I'm a talker. I don't mind talking, but it's a lot. I'm trying to think about what else. I do think it's a little hard to describe those other pieces. There's messaging at the core, as I said, and there's positioning and there's visibility that we're taking care of for designers in these new offers. I think it's hard to describe those things. So I've tried to describe them in, different pieces of content in Instagram Reels and in some blog posts and that kind of thing. But to see if I can put it in a nutshell, your positioning in your business is really just, you need you and what you do and how you do it and how your offers are framed need to match up with what your market wants, with what your ideal clients want and what they're looking for. So, again, being so close to your business, too close to even have perspective, you can frame your offers and be like, oh, this is the thing. This is what I want to do. This is what people need. And you might have a blind spot to something that makes that not a match for the people in your area for some reason, or for the people that you think there's a certain level of investment, and really that level of investment is up here, so you're actually not pricing enough. I mean, you could be pricing too high, but usually it's just that you're aiming at the wrong clientele. So I'm going in and I'm looking at all of these things that you want to offer, and the ways that you position it and the ways that you're packaging your offers. And I'm also looking at your area and your clientele and all the things about how they're spending their money and making their spending decisions, and their homes and what they're doing in their homes. And we're kind of troubleshooting. Is it a match? Are they buying what you're selling? Are they buying what you're selling? It's kind of an easy way to put it, I guess. And then on the visibility side, it's, like I said, it's kind of some stuff about how the internet works. It's so strange to think that you would put out on the internet that you're an interior designer and say that your address is in such and such a city and state, and that you would never show up in searches for people searching for an interior designer in your city and state. But it's true. You have to do very, very, very specific things with your SEO and your Google profile and your social media and blogging. You have to do very specific things to get Google to notice you and make you, to rank you as a match for searches. It's very complex. And it's kind of a pain, and it's kind of a game that you have to play. You kind of have to play this Google game. So, we're handling all of that stuff, and then also creating content like social media content and blog content and email lead magnets and things like that that are appealing to your local qualified clients, the clients who, are truly your prospects. It's one thing to create like a lead magnet that's like such and so's five favorite paint colors. Okay. That might be an amazing, very popular download. But if it doesn't lead to getting paying clients, is it even worth your effort? What is it doing for your business? So those are the kinds of things that I'm looking at and going, there's a better way to do this. And so we kind of have our list of things that we need to do in somebody's business, and we evaluate everything. And if something is good to go and they're doing everything right, great. Then it's already checked off and we don't touch it. But typically it doesn't happen just because. Oh, it just paused me. Sorry. Yeah, Instagram paused me because it said I wasn't using the app. I'm using it, I'm just not touching it. Yeah, so we work within what your goals are and what is kind of the gaps in your visibility to handle those mechanics that are not pretty and not fun, and to do all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're excited for everything to come, and just really, hopeful that we can make a big difference for a lot of interior designers. We really want to unfrustrate designers and help them be able to attract their ideal clients and be visible to their ideal clients on repeat and easily without the designer burning out, because you don't need to be blogging and social media, posting on social media 24/7. You need to be doing your design work, right? And running your business. So not doing that stuff, but keeping you in front of them. So that's the goal. So I thank you so much for joining me today and being in the room with me and hanging out to hear all about my rebrain. I should just call it that. Somebody in my business coaching group called it, oh yeah, rebranding is rebranding. And I was like, it is. It's rebranding, because I had to have like a totally different mindset to now show up the way that I'm showing up with Deb Mitchell Co. So super exciting growth and fun, cool stuff to bring to my clients. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you join me here next time. Thanks.